Well, I'm back. Do 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 do. Here I am. I'm back. Can you see me? I can see myself. Is anyone there? Sensei Al Bob to number one. Am I still buffering? Hey there, Jane. We were having a nice little chat, and someone knocked me into Zombieland. Hey, I'm back. Yes, I'm back. And that was, is there any way I can turn off my phone and still talk to you guys? You know, I've turned the ringer down. Yeah, we're back. You know, someone just had to talk to me, and they know that I do this chat every night, and they know I do it between 7 p.m. and 9:30. But they just had to talk to me, and they know that if they call me on the phone, that it knocks me, out of the ballpark, you know. And at the third time they called me, and I just, didn't receive, just disconnected my call back, and they said, "How dare you?" Blah 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 blah, and I was like, "Really?" And she said, "Well, it's not 7 p.m. where I am," and that's because she's in another time zone. You're just way too popular, I know. Anyway, this is part of the learning curve, whatever that is, and that's all right, Again, teaches us patience, right? I had to like not only turn my phone off, I had to reboot it, and then because every time I tried to, it was like still hung up. So anyway, so so let's hear from you guys. That should have given me some time for food for thought. Yeah. Da, 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 da. Another town that I loved, that was my town, was London. That was a great town. And now it's even better because now they have good food. You know, now good food is, it wasn't, good food just used to be in Italy and France and parts of America and other cities here and there, but now it's kind of getting everywhere. I guess it's food trucks that take it around. That'd be another, dreamy dreamland food trucks, you know, mobile drive-in theaters. I mean, there's so many things we can do. And back in the day, when I was a youngster, between birth and 40, well, Rick, well, since birth to 62, when I started to get real sick, I did all these things, and people, oh, you can't do that. You need a license for that. You need a permit for. Nope, just friggin' went off and did it. You know, there's this guy named Will I Am, a buddy of mine, and he has a friend who produces his music, and and those guys are really great, and the shows they put on are really great. And Will has got this new agey thing, and so, I was like their grandpa Smurf. And this is before they really got into their show thing. And he wanted to do this, like, I don't even know what you call it. I kept talking about the traveling for the art circuit, but we did it. We did this one event, one of his firsts, in a park that was in Miami, and and these guys are great with computers. I wish I had them now. And his producer friend worked for a production company, right? So he had all the toys, all the hardware, all the everything you'd ever need to put on a big show. And he used to put on big shows of things during halftime at the Super Bowl and things all over the place. He would be the producer of them. Get it all together. So he we one day I'm hanging out in their they have a really great apartment in near Hollywood, Florida, and almost on the beach. You can definitely smell it, and it was gated community kind of thing, but condos and it had beautiful. It was a beautiful site. It had great lawns and plants and tennis courts and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so we're sitting in there, and they're playing with their toys and making music and stuff, and it's all good. It's nice to hang with these guys. And I said, we should really do one of these shows because I had one of my photo books, and I was showing them the kind of conferences we used to do back in the late '70s and '80s in New York with the Theosophical Society and all of those esoteric clan. And we started this thing called the Blue Door on Spring Street, which was an old funky loft building that one of these folks who I hung with who had money bought, and we turned it into a multi-dimensional esoteric new age published the whole life times. Anyway, and so I have photo books of all of this, that kind of stuff. And so, we should do something like that. And I said, so let's do it. And they go, what do you mean just I said, the way you do something like that is you pick a idea, right, that you want to talk about, and you set a date and a place, right? So these guys, like I said, they're amazing, internet guys. So they kind of went on and looked around where you could rent a space, right? And there was a park that was in Miami. It was right online and had all the dates, and for a weekend, like from Thursday to Monday, you could rent this place for $300. And the pictures of it were amazing. A beautiful park. It had parking. It was easy to get to, and it had a pond. And it was like, what Florida looked like before the Spanish showed up, right? And it had a beautiful building with a large enough space to it was kind of a dining room slash kitchen. You could feed a few hundred people there, for an event like a wedding or this or that, right? Anyway, so it's really, hey, well, boy, that's cheap. They got the credit card, so they we pick a date like 4 or 5 months from that date to give us enough time to get a thing together, and so they do. Then we put up a website and have a fancy name. I forget what it was, and we kind of pick a curriculum of things to talk about. And they and I, well, mostly them because they're in Florida, had all of these, buddies of, same kind of ilk, and so we put that up and webpage and a PayPal account. I mean, these guys know how to do it. They did it. We did all of this like within 3 hours, right? Bing. And then I went off and had to do a few of my lawyer gigs, and I called them up a few times. How we doing? And they were getting lots of people, and the weekend thing plus meals was $100. From Friday to you could leave Monday, but we're gonna have breakfast and dinner for Saturday and Sunday, right? And a meal for Friday, and that was it. And it was all included $100. Anyway, um, so I called them up and they said, "Oh, it's great. It's all filled up." I said, "All filled up? How many people showing up?" They got 100 people, and it was about as much as you could because you camp at this place. So everyone's going to camp, and so it's about 100 people. That was pretty good. and they got the money in the bank, right? So we talked a little bit what we needed and how we should set it up, and that was all good. So I said, okay, guys, I will show up there like on Wednesday. You know, we have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thursday will be our setup day, da, 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 right? And the guy who had the 9 to 5 job, he got Thursday and Friday off, and he was going to have the equipment, the equipment to do it. So it was all good. And one of our buddies, who's an IT guy from Disney, was going to be there and put up cameras and do a live stream and then sell DVDs, blah blah blah. Anyway, so we had it pretty much covered. Um, you know, 4 or 5 weeks go by. I show up on Thursday, and they like almost forgot about. Oh yeah, this is that weekend. Oh, we got to do that. Yep, because they do all kinds of other stuff. So I say, okay, so you got a truck? And they go, to move the equipment from where you work to this place. And they go, no. I said, have you gone and checked the space out? No. Guys, come on. I thought you guys were professional, Yeah. Plus you, the producer guy, you should know what to do. And he goes, well, that's not what I do. Anyway, so I said, okay, let's get in your car. Let's go look at the place. So we go look at it, and it has one of those roller locks. We had gotten a combination. We go in, we look at everything. Oh, it's very nice, right? And I said, so we should sit here and meditate a little bit and see what the energy's like, right? So I kind of go into space, and it's like, whoa! I kind of like, whoa! And when I pop my eyes open, what I saw in state was right standing in front of me. And what was standing in front of me were this whole Indian tribe of Floridian Indian guys and gals and kids, and 10-foot blue guys. And I'm going, the Anunnaki or somebody like that. And I'm going, what the heck? And they start talking to me like no problem. And so I look at the boys. Can you see this? And they go, see what? I just kind of shake my head, and I say, and so these folks are talking to me in their dialect, not English. You'd think there'd be a little translator in my noggin, and no. And so they realize they're talking, and I'm hearing them, and now I'm talking, and they're hearing me, but we're not. So one of the blue guys goes like this, right to my forehead, bing, and then all of a sudden, the translator kicked in, right? And so they said, "Wow, you're like in another time zone, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, so are you." And I said, "So this must be your where you people lived." And they said, "Oh, it's more than that. It's like super. It's like a time tunnel vortex. That's how the blue guys got here. This is way heavy place, and most people can't stand being here. That's why, you know." Not many people show up at this a really beautiful park, but on one side of the park was like the hood, and you could hear AKs going off and the police helicopters flying around, and over there was like the more, I don't want to say tourist, but where things were, because the ocean was like just over there. There's a big lake, and then the intercoastal, and then the ocean. And this was, you'd think some developer would have bought this thing, paid some politician off, and put something gauche there. But no, because this Indian folk, their energy was so unbelievable that it was unbelievable. So anyway, they basically said, "So who are these guys with you?" And I said, "Oh, that's Will I Am, and that's his buddy, and they're okay. They're my friends." And they basically said, "Well, if they're with you, they're okay." And I said, "What do you mean by that?" He said, "Well, we're very picky about who comes here and what happens here, and we can really turn people's heads around and make them vomit and projectile diarrhea, all different rainbow colors if we want to. It's like no big deal." And I'm going, okay, so it's all going to be good because this is what we're going to do, and just there'll be more nice people than people that you're going to want to turn them green. Okay? I mean, trust me. You like me, don't you? Oh yeah, we like you. Yeah, we like you. I said, oh, my name? And they said, well, we have no idea what your name is, but we can tell you what your totem is. And I said, yes, an owl, right? And they go, yeah. So anyway, we all smoked the pipe right there and then, and my two friends with me are kind of going, what is he doing? Even though these guys portend to be so spiritual, right? So anyway, but they're great guys. I really love those guys. Haven't really heard from them for years. Anyway, so we go back. We kind of looked at the space and I said, okay, now we need a truck, right? And it's about 4 in the afternoon, and they've had their little digital cameras. We've taken all kinds of pictures of it, so we got a plan of attack of where we're going to put this, that, and the other thing. And I don't know why Will wanted it, but he wanted a big tent. This kind because they had this nice little band shell with seats, which would have been great for lectures, But he wanted a tent, right? So anyway, um, he's paying for it, so he clocked up money for a tent company to come in. So they had gotten in there because we gave them the number, and they had put the tent up. So when we go, there's the tent, right? And anyway, so we go back, and we don't even go back. Um, they got their really super duper whoop de doo smartphones. I still had my flip phone, and I said we need a truck. So he calls up a couple guys that his business uses for trucks. It's the end of the month. End of the month, if no one knows, is when most people get thrown out of their apartment or have to move. So to get a moving truck for a local thing is difficult at the end of the month. Beginning or end of the month is difficult to get a moving truck or even moving people. And so he called a few other people he knew, and he said none. So one one of those guys took his Siri and said, they just went through the line of rental trucks in that neck of, between Hollywood and Miami. And everyone said, don't you know, it's the end of the month. You can't find a truck. And I said, okay, let's see. So I said, okay, guys, let's sit on the ground. Let's meditate again. And we did. And I said, okay, hand me the Siri. And I just went like this, all the moving guys there. And I just take my finger and I swipe it down and they go, like a roulette wheel. And I, bing, hit my finger on it and it dials it. And the guy comes on and I remember his voice and he remembers. And I said, so, you got a truck for us now? And he goes, I can't believe it. Just minutes after I talked to you, someone canceled the exact truck you want. And I was just about to call you and you called me. Yes, I got your truck for you. And I said, I thought you would. So we went off and got that truck. We parked it in the producer guy's parking lot where his warehouse is. We had some of his guys pack it up. We locked it up. And next morning we got up bright and early, had breakfast, and took the truck and started setting up. And so that's Friday, right? And the people are going to come in Friday, but not till after noonish or so, right? And so they're doing, those guys have it all down. They have other people, their minions doing it. And I'm just kind of going around doing shamanic things because the Indians are right with me. They're off doing whatever because they had a plan. And, they're the artists, not a problem. So I'm walking around with the Indians and they're talking about this, that, and the other. And then this one group said, see those guys over there? And I said, yes. And they said, they are bad people. I said, what do you mean bad people? You didn't like my friends, but they're not so bad. And they goes, well, those guys are just morons. They're bad people. So I walk right over, across the, 5 lanes of the whatever road that was on the boundary of the park. And I walk right over there. Hey, how you doing? And they look at me. And they're they're gangbangers, right? And they really want to be gangbangers, right? And they look at me and they said, Yeah, Hefe, what are you, nuts? And I said, what do you mean? Because you just don't come across the street onto our side of the road and say, how you doing? I said, why? You were about to come over there. My friends said that you're bad people, and I said, you're not. They go, what friends? I said, what, my gang that's with me. And they're looking at me, what do you mean, your gang? I said, yeah, there's 20 people here, and they all got bows and arrows and, swords and spears, and they're looking at me, what? And I said, so you were sizing us up. You're realizing that we're going to do something there. You saw the big truck. You saw all the stuff. You saw us pitching our tents. You know we're going to be there a while. You're sizing us up. You want to rob us, right? And they're like, I said, instead of trying to rob us, why don't you come on over? Be part of the gang. Well, we can't. I said, you're not gangbangers. You want to be gangbangers. You're not. You're nice guys. You know, no one has read you in yet. You're not blood. So you got the freedom. You can make a choice. You can come hang, right? I said, and I need some guys, and they said, for what? I said, I need security. You think those chuckleheads I'm with can have any idea what you know? That is your bailiwick. That's what you can do. You know everybody here. You can be security. You'll have a really good time, and we'll pay you pretty well. How much are we gonna get? I said, I have no idea, but you'll be paid very well. And so, it was for these guys. They weren't gonna do it. I said, you got nothing planned for the weekend, do you? And I said, and you live right by, so you come, hang, be part of the thing. When you get tired or want to go home, right there. But this will be cool. Anyway, so they come over, and I introduce them to everyone. I said, everyone, this is our security. And they look at them, and Will and his buddy and the guy from Disney, they know me for years, and they know if whatever Al does, it's the right thing, and that's why we got him here, right? So they say, "Oh, that's great. We need something like that." I said, "That's right. We need something like that." Guys, a moment. His head under. Boo, boo, boo. What's tonight's meditation about? Tonight's meditation is, I'm going to finish this little story in about, 15 minutes. And then I'm going to take you to that Indian tribe, right? And I didn't get their names, none of the above, but we're going to go to that space in Miami back, before 1492. And also on the weekend that we did this event. And we're just going to, because it's the same place, right? So this is going to be another little exercise where we are going to do time travel, going from place to place to place to place in the same space, same piece of real estate, right? And there's going to be, these, indigenous people, and you will meet them, and they will tell you their name, right? And they will tell you a lot of things. I'm not really going to describe them any more than I have. So you will meet them, and the blue guys too, and they'll tell you where they came from, right? Then you will experience that weekend's event and all the, and I'm going to give you a thumbnail of what happened, but you're going to be there and experience it, right? So you will get a taste of the kind of events I want to put on with you guys, okay? So that's tonight's meditation. And we're now at 24 minutes and 48 seconds, so I'll try and get it done by the story part of this by 35 minutes, and that'll be pretty good, okay? I'm halfway through. They, they're pretty classic troll, trying to rile people up. Yeah, classic douche. I mean, I've totally not even seen the classic troll. Well, good enough for me. I'm going to go back to the story here. So, and this has a troll attitude because the wannabe gangbangers, you could think of them as trolls. But anyway, so we do that. Those guys kind of are setting up, what they're going to do for this, new age whoop-de-doo thing. And Miami has a pretty big new age crystal woo-woo crew. Anyway, so I take the four wannabe gangbangers, and we set out a perimeter. These are the gates open, these are the gates closed. So we're going to park people's vehicles. This is where we're going to have the multimedia scene, and so pretty much, half of the park is facing this lake. So you don't have to worry about anybody coming across the lake or from the three sides of it. So there's really only the two gates that go to where the parking lot is, and another gate that's facing another road that's more deeper in the hood. And I said, well, okay, those are the places where you got to just kind of watch. And you know the people, so you can watch them and talk to them. And, I'll come and talk with you, be part of the security. But you guys are in charge. I'm just going to give you the 411 on how things energetically should run. And they go, energetically? I said, yeah. Going in state. And they, oh, huh? I said, oh, come, let's, there's this place that's obviously where the altar was back in the day near the pond. And so I go over there, and we sit down, and I set the four directions. And I said, okay, now close your eyes and breathe 20, show them how to breathe 20% in, 40% out. And I bingo, put them right there, right? And they see the Indians. And they go, whoa, right? And then they open their eyes, and they can still see the Indians. And I said, okay, Indians, you said these were bad guys. What do you think of them now? And they say, no, they're one of us. They come from our lineage. And I said, that's right, right? So now, you Indians and you blue people, you are now part of the security team. And they start to giggle because they got bows and arrows and spears and war hawks, tomahawks, and axes. Anyway, so we sit down and we parlay. The four wannabe gangbangers and these guys, and I tell the gangbangers, listen, these guys, now this is a gang you want to be part of, right? So in the space of an hour, these gangbangers go from like trying, being, the Bloods, because that was the crew around there, to now these guys are way cooler than those morons. So we're all good, right? And so I have no worries about security whatsoever, right? So everything's getting, and now people are arriving, and so I get to the gate when they come in, and I got this little clipboard with names on it who paid, and I'm welcome home. I'm doing my welcome home thing, and parking. Because the space that's gonna be, once we put the cars in there, no one's getting out until they all leave. Anyway, so I go, so take your car up here, drop all your camping gear, whatever you got, right there, and then come back here, and we're gonna park your cars because you're not getting out of here, and it's gonna be hassle to even go back to your car. So just drop everything there, and there's a guy watching it, so no one's gonna take anything. We park your car, you lock it up, you leave it there, and that's it. Boo. Anyway, so we are, getting ready, and then the crowds have shown up, and And we set up their tents, and everyone's, you know, really having a nice time. And dinner's supposed to be ready. So I kind of wander up to my two friends, and I go, "So you got everything set?" And they go, "Well, we do pretty much but the guy that we contracted to cook the vegan food, he wants, we were going to pay him $1,500, and now he wants 3,000 because he sees all these people and what kind of cars they are, and that's what he wants. And he hasn't moved anything on there. And that kitchen, it has all the pots and pans and stoves, and I mean, all you have to do is bring the food, meaning it's got all the tools, right? So I walk up to the guy, and I got the Indians with me, and I got two of the wannabes, but now they're not wannabes. Now they are tribal members, right? They're not gang members, they're tribal members. They're clan members, they're part of the clan. Anyway, so what they've like lost all their gang paraphernalia, and now they kind of got like bare chests, and they've got headbands on. Where'd you get the headbands? Well, I just took my scarf and tied it around. It looks like those Indian guys that are with us. And I said, yeah, you're part of the clan. So anyway, we walk up, and these guys, they're like 18, 19 years old, and they're in pretty good shape. So, and they look like, if you're a white person and scared, they are gang folks. So anyway, this guy is, a really nebbishy kind of white guy. And I've never met him, and I walk up to him, and I go, "You're fired." He goes, "What?" I said, "You just get the fuck out. Leave. Go bye-bye. You're useless. The food you make will be shit. So why should we want you? You know, I wouldn't even, if you wanted to be here, I wouldn't even take 3 grand from you to let you be here and cook the food. Get out." And he's like, my two buddies are like, "What, what, what?" I said, "If I have to cook this stuff, I will. I'll be better than this moron." So you got cash, you got a credit card. Let's get in your truck. We'll just go and, you know, to Publix and buy some food. And one of the kid goes, my sister, she has a little restaurant and she's a vegetarian. And his buddy goes, "No, no, she's a vegan." And I go, "You got your sister on the speed dial?" And he goes, "Yeah, yeah." He goes, "Well, dial her, right?" So, it rings. He goes, "Sis, I got somebody to talk to." "Hi, this is Al Bob. And we're doing a little event. The park right by your house?" And she goes, "Yep, we're going to do an event there. And we would love it if you would come. And I think this will be very good for you." She goes, "What?" I said, "Well, it's going to be a new age event, and it's kind of published by done by the folks who kind of do the whole IF Expos." She goes, "I went to one of those. Oh, I'll be right there." And she was. She got her little car, zing, right over, right? And she brought her boyfriend and his mother, and they're both Guatemalan, but they were vegans, and they had this Guatemalan vegan restaurant, and it was like a hole in the wall in the hood, right? So anyway, I show them the kitchen, and they're like, "Wow, I dreamed about having a kitchen like this." And I said, "So do you have the food, the raw materials for this?" "Oh, yes, we just got an order in, and our fridge is like brimming with stuff. We could just go over there and bring it all over here." And I said, "Not a problem." And I said, "So what do you make, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?" And they said, "Oh, about $300." I said, "How about 1,500?" And they were like, I said, "Come on over." So they ran over, got the stuff, and just started putting something together that was perfect. And just at the perfect timing when you know, the, all the people had arrived and put their tents, the 100 folk, but there were more than 100 folk. I mean, there were like 100 tents, and each one had 2 or 3 people. And they thought they were going to have to buy more tickets, but as they drove in, I said, "Nah, you gave us $100. That's good enough. You got 2 other people, one other person, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, not a problem." And they were like so amazed that, you know, $100 times 100 folk. That's a nice chunk of change for an 3 days. And the costs, we'd have to rent the equipment, we'd have to do, even the tent was pretty much gratis from the producer guy's friends. Anyway, so it was all coming together very nicely. And so I said, well, let's go over to the band shell because most people are, collecting over there. He said, I thought they'd be at the tent. I said, I don't think so. It's really hot. The sun is hitting it. It's like a microwave oven in that tent. Anyway, so, you know, we had put a small sound system up where the band shell was. The major everything was going to be done under the tent. The band shell was going to be for ancillary events. Anyway, so everyone was gathering over by the band shell. So Will went up there and with his little show folk and started a little show. For, he had something planned. And, he introduced everybody involved, me and the producer guy and the people who cooked and the security folk and a few of the people who were going to present over the next few days, right? And we were all going to have a ceremony. And Will goes, and Al will provide us with the ceremony. So I kind of put everyone in state, got everyone breathing, everyone visualizing, and I introduced everyone to the indigenous folk of that little park area. And everyone but Will and him and a few other people who were there because they knew how to crystalline, heal people, all that new age, give me a break stuff. And those guys couldn't see squat. But all the other people out there who paid their $100 and their friends, yeah, they could see it, and they were like, I'm freaking amazed. And and we did ceremony, and we cleansed them, and we got all their energies purified and their angers taken out, and showed them their Akashic record. And I said, now everybody, you all weekend long, keep going into state with every event we do, with every ceremony, with every presenter. Go into state. Look at what's going on in your Akashic record. And this will be the best, guide for you to see what's going on. So, bottom line, that happened. And then we went off to eat, and these guys had a beautiful vegan buffet salad. Just these, amazing foods, about 12 trays. And they had in the dining hall, they actually had plates and silverware and all that, and trays. And so people went by and got it and sat at the tables, and it was beautiful. And then they had made these beautiful little paper boxes that they put like a picnic basket. So after dinner, during the evening's events, they'd have little something to nosh on, right? And are you back? So, gang, am I here? Are you listening to the story? Yep. Okay. So here it is, almost 40 minutes. So what I'm going to do is we're all going to go into state, and we're all going to go into our Akashic record and cleanse ourselves and evacuate our anger into our Akashic record. And then we're going to go to our gazebos in our, superconscious mind, our sanctuary of our own choosing, and that is going to be the band shell, and that's where you're going to meet everyone at this event, and the meadow will transform itself into that park, right? And the tree of truth is there, and there was one at this place, And, the lake of the link, well, there was a pond there that was the lake of the link, so it will fit very nicely. Okay, so here it is, 40 minutes, and at 40 seconds we'll start. So everyone get in a comfortable position, relax in a chair, on a bed, whatever. Put yourself in that relaxed state that you're safe and secure. And here we go. You're closing your eyes. You're taking in that breath of 20% more than you normally breathe. And you're breathing out that 30%, right? Breathing in the 20, out the 30. And one, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You're going deeper and deeper in a state of relaxation. See it clearly. You're going into state by bringing in the prana in through your lungs and having the blood carrying the prana all through your body, energizing every cell, seeing your mitochondria energized. See it clearly. You illuminate your imaginary mirror behind your eyelids where you have REM sleep with the prana, the photonic light. See everything clearly. You're projecting that photonic light from your imaginary mirror into your subconscious mind, which is your Akashic record. It's not the scary place. It's not where the boogeyman is. See that clearly. You walk into your Akashic record, your library, and in front of you is the fireplace, and you see the purple eternal flame. And in front of that is your reading table. And from above comes a photonic light, no shadows. Behind it is your reading chair, very comfortable. So you're sitting down at your chair, and to your left is your librarian, your animal totem, and your guardian angel. Your librarian brings you your Akashic record. You open it up, you put your right hand on the right page and your left hand on the left page, and then you lean into your Akashic record and you evacuate, empty the colon of your anger, right? And place all your fear, loathing, hate, anxiety, all of those things, put it all in there. And just let it go. See that clearly. Take all of the frustration, all of the illusions of this material world, this so-called material world, and you put them in your Akashic record, and you close the book. And you're light as a feather. And you rise up, and you walk over to the open doorway that leads you to your id, which carries you from your subconscious to your superconscious mind, the sanctuary of your own choosing. See it clearly. And you give the high sign to your guides to come with you. Your librarian, your animal totem, your guardian angel. Follow you over the bridge into your sanctuary. You walk over to the meadow where the gazebo is, and you sit down on your picnic blanket, and there's that little box that's just like your picnic basket, but it's the box that this beautiful family has made, and there will be whatever you need to eat there. And over to the east of the meadow is the tree of truth and the lake of the link. And you walk over there and you see another sliver opening up and the gold light coming, and it's kind of reddish and purplish. And instead of you going down into the earth, what you see is kind of the purple haze all around you. And you can still see your meadow, but it is transforming into this beautiful garden, this Floridian park of palm trees and every kind of green, leafy, succulent or whatever those plants are in Florida that just are amazing. And everything else, and this beautiful pond that's just surrounded by all of this greenery, right? And you look towards the pond and you see the indigenous folk, covered in feathers, wearing their, traditional garb, and they have their weapons with them, their arrows and their bows and their spears and their war axes, but they have them semi-stored on their person. They're more a fashion accessory at this moment. And you walk over to them and you bow with respect, and they do the same. And your guardians are with you, your guides are with you, and they respond in a more almost like part of the family, because they are. They're coming from that same energetic. And see how the forest kind of shimmers, just like that. See how that shimmers? It's that same kind of way. Right? It's got that shimmer, right? And you got 1 foot in one dimension and 1 foot in another dimension. You got your foot in 2004 Miami, and you got your foot in that same piece of real estate, but in 1390. See it clearly. And this is a tool that you're going to use, a way of seeing that time is not linear, but all at once. And this is one of your first experiences of this in your shamanic alchemy, of you learning as an adept, my adept, our adept, all our relations adept. See it clearly. 20 generations from the past into 20 generations in the future. And that's how the cadre is going to co-create with love, with all our relations. And here they are. And not only are the Indians there, you start to look around and you see all the folks who were at that event, right? And the one thing you're seeing is not only their avatar, their bag of water. You're seeing the auric self, right? And a lot of people confuse their auric self or others' auric self with their mind. No, their auric self is their aura, their energy. You know that energy when you breathe in the prana and you energize your cell, in the mitochondria? That's your auric self, right? And what is the auric self but another container of what is considered your soul? And your soul is different from your consciousness. Because your consciousness has a free will. You can choose to be that angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other, right? But your soul Oh, it's hard to explain. It's again like a battery. As your mitochondria is like this energetic battery of that cell. Well, your soul is that energy that gives your bag of water animation. He moves it around with your consciousness. So your soul is this kind of fiber optic, but it's more than that. It's a battery too. It's again, what you're going to have to do is go into your Akashic record and like look up under Wikipedia what's the real deal of the soul. How's it? So it's not mind, body, spirit. No, it's um, bag of water, avatar, and there's one of you of the cadre. I'm not quite sure which, but it's quite relevant and always right spot on about the words I use, and they know that I'm particular, so they're always saying, that means such and such. And so, avatar within the construct of the, Indian or um, Vedic tradition is something different than kind of how I describe. Right. And so the body is not one of the forces, it's just a container. The mind shouldn't be there. The mind is just a Rolodex. So, and emotions, they are just a chemical response of your, vagus nerve. So, I keep going on. We need to develop an alternative aesthetic, a new way of looking at things, using words in more precise ways. So, the body, mind, emotion, triforce of spirit, not quite. We have to be, those are the things that were given to us erroneously, right? So when you go into state and go into your Akashic record, you guys are good scholars. You're not scholastics. You're not following the path of I believe this. You are all of those things that you just said, body, mind, emotions. There are other things. Body would be more like container. And we've got like 4 or 5 containers, not just one. Not just this bag of water. This is only one. So, and mind is more. See, when you think of mind and it's this, no, that's just the Rolodex. Consciousness, that is like, so consciousness is like what we think the mind is, but consciousness is connected to love's co-creation. So I would say avatar, love's co-creation, and spirit. Spirit is that thing that's like the soul. It's like that. Spirit is what the prana is. It is the thing that gives life. Right? So that was a very ham-handed explanation. We got homework and got to put on our thinking caps and see. Again, we need to build a new aesthetic of how we are going to be looking at things. If we want to bring all our relations home to love's co-creation. So we don't got to do it tonight, and I don't want to ever within our chats like, this has got to be how it's got to be. No, well, I'm saying that we just got to think of a different way of describing it, and if you need to call it mind, body, emotions, triforce, or what of the spirit, whatever. But I'm just kind of saying we just need to revamp that. That's all. So anyway, there you are. You're there with the Indians. You're there at the event in 2004. You are there on your little picnic blanket, and the show's going to start up on the gazebo, right? So seeing, there's Will up there, and he gives his spiel, and then I do my little visualization to the whole crowd, right? And you are there now doing that, and you're helping everyone around, and you're seeing that the 100 people plus sitting on the picnic blankets all around you of the band shell. It's a gazebo in your place, but and at that park, it's a band shell. That they are really way energetic, really special people, just like you guys. They are part of your cadre. They're just in Miami, right? They're part of our clan. They're just in Miami. Soon to be, in the chat. Soon there'll be people. Are there any people on the chat who are from Miami-ish? Anyway, so Will gives a speech. I do my thing. Then the sock puppets who Will kind of got because he thinks they're the groovy dudes of the New Age spiritual thing are obviously snake oil salesmen, right? And they are talking about stuff that is just gobbledygook, just like some, preacher who's speaking snake oil, right? And the people around you on their picnic blanket, they're all kind of going, is this what we came for, right? And then the Indians kind of get in the show and scare the ever-living bejesus out of those folks, and those folks run away. So all the people who were supposed to show up for the show this weekend, who were there, get like, get this like thing of anxiety because they know that everyone's seeing them for the king without his clothes. See that clearly. And this, again, is another vehicle for you to see how to see people and things around you, how to see the multi-levels that exist. And they're not the ones that you're told that they are, right? And, that Dr. Bob guy that I think Inc. turned me on to, that was being interviewed by the London guy. They're almost there. The thing is that they're not letting go of their preconceived notions. Now, those two guys, are way more interesting, way more experienced, way more trying to let go than the folks who were up there at the park in Miami in 2004. See that clearly. Anyway, so they run away. And I kind of say, that's fine. Does anyone here have a guitar, have a drum, have any kind of instruments? And virtually everyone does. Everyone, and in their little tents. And I say, the best instrument for this evening is if you got a, something you can pound or strum. So pretty much everyone has a nice drum, and the guitars come out. And we start doing a drum dance circle, right? Which our hosts from 1404 are like, yeah, these are our people, So the drums are coming up, and so their spirits, that clan of indigenous folk, go into the people. And the four guys who the wannabe gangsters are now 100% clan, and they are hooping it up and dancing around the fire pit. And they gathered firewood. I kind of said, okay, we're going to be the fire keepers, and so they kind of were excited about that. And I showed them, see all the stuff, the palm fronds, all of the stuff. So, and before, the meal. There's a beautiful fire pit in front of this band shell, whereas there was no kind of fire pit next to that tent. So we set up to start a fire, and it's mostly made out of palm fronds, and then there's actually so we moved enough firewood from that down to the fire pit to last us for the evening, but the palm fronds are going to go up, right? So there was also a can of tiki torch oil, in the shed, and there were a bunch of tiki torches. So we set up a few tiki torches along the paths, but they had a lot of tiki torch oil. So I brought two of those things down to the fire pit. And so when people started hitting the drums and, you know, and the Indians started to moving into sharing the bodies with the other spirits, and see that and experience that and see the people dancing. And so then we lit the fire, and I had tiki torch oil and a match, and va-boom, and then those palm fronds went really up, and we had a really nice fire that was probably 20 feet up in the air. And now we had built a nice little pyramid of firewood as the base, and then covered it up with palm fronds. So by the time those palm fronds burned down, the wood was doing its thing and burning quite nicely. And all we had to do is just keep throwing a few logs on to keep enough illumination from the fire and enough warmth for the evening for us to dance into the evening. And people had their nice little art boxes made by our great restaurateurs, and they were down. They had brought themselves a nice little thing they had for shows. It wasn't quite a tent, but it covered them up. And everyone was just having a great time. So instead of the big show that Will had planned with speeches and classes and blah, 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 people just have an amazingly grand old time. So, I had set myself up a nice little Papa Smurf spot amongst this, and I had a hammock, and I was swinging in my hammock because that's how I roll. I'm a hammock kind of guy. There's going to be trees, I'm going to be sitting in a hammock instead of on the ground or on a chair. Hammock is my favorite. So anyway, I'm swinging in the hammock, and this very amazingly attractive indigenous person comes over and gets in the hammock with me and starts. We're rocking in the hammock, and I can't tell whether she is corporeal or astral, right? And she won't speak to me in English, right? And she's just like playing with my ears and just smiling at me. And she, I'm probably, let's see, oh 04, I guess I was 54 in oh 04, give or take. And so anyway, we just like communicating on a higher level, right? And then these two older women, but they weren't that old, they were still quite attractive, start laughing. And I look up and I say, "So what's so funny?" And so the woman, who obviously was a crone, but from Ecuador, I could tell by her just how she looked and what she was wearing. And she definitely was corporeal. And she goes, "You like my daughter, don't you?" I said, "She's a beautiful woman and really smart, and she's, entranced me." And she goes, "She does that to all the boys." And so she starts giggling, and the other woman starts giggling. Anyway, so all three of them are now in my hammock with me, right? Not lying this way, but kind of sitting in it and using it as a swing. And she goes, "I've been watching you the whole time since you parked our car. I saw what you did with those young men." That's why I finished, young men. And she goes, "Yes, you gave them a purpose, and now they are part of the clan. Whereas before, I didn't see them before. They were invisible." And she goes, "And you've gone around this whole circle and touched everyone and put them in this shaman. You're a shaman, aren't you?" And I said, "Well," and she goes, "You put them in a shamanic state. And you really haven't done anything except talked quietly, individually. You didn't really, the only time you really was in the public eye was when you said the prayer. And you did that quite humbly and quite nicely and quite, powerfully, and then you left the stage to go get in your hammock. The only thing I saw you really do is strike the match to light up the thing. And these other brothers and sisters of time, all our relations, time long gone, they would not be here without you. And I said, boy, you're pretty good to see all of that. And she giggled and she goes, well, we're here as your chorus. And I said, well, I always love having a chorus. And so they basically were my chorus, just like you're my chorus, right? And they took over. They really did. I mean, they like kind of pushed Will out of the way. And they had the authority because they were shamans. They were women of the woods. They were crones. They were all the above, right? And they did it in the most beautiful ways because what they did was kind of what I do. And they went individually to everyone and brought out the best. And everyone who was those 100 cars there were filled with people who didn't call themselves healers or didn't call themselves shaman or didn't call themselves, oh, I'm a Reiki master, 3rd level. They didn't do any of that, but they were all of that to the max, just like the people who made our food. They were, masters, magicians of hospitality. See that clearly. And see how our relations from 1404 were able to ease into the spirit. And that's what the spirit is. It's a conductor. It's not a singular thing that you have to protect or hold on to. And that's why our consciousness, which is what we are, has a free will. Spirit is more this connector, more this conductor, more this switch. Right? Again, I'm through my griot skill, laying down a thing that you, the chorus, are going to pick up and exemplify and to elaborate. Right? And sweeping, you're going to step up and elaborate. And that is, if I teach anything to the cadre, is to step up and elaborate, to speak from the heart, so anyone who hears will hear with their heart and understand. There will be no, semantic differences. And that was the great thing of this event. There was no semantic differences. See it clearly. Now I'm going to be quiet and leave you, or stand over here, in my hammock with my chorus. And then I'm going to be dancing in the circle. But so will all of you. So say we all. And when I say that from now on, so say we all, you guys are going to return, from your heart. So say we all. And that's how we're going to cut out the clowns and the clowns and the trolls and all of the distraction. For we will say from our heart, we create with love's co-creation, bringing a stronger connection between all our relations. So say we all. Yes, Fish. The body, mind, emotion is the aesthetic of the illusion. And that's why we need an alternative aesthetic. So say we all. So say we all. So is everybody there? We're still all here. We're all in state. We're all in the park. We're all with our relations. So say we all. Gonna have a so say we all, or at least aho. Kind of, buddy. Okay, I assume that you all can hear me and that you're all in state and you're all in the park, kinda. So say we all. Thank you. I just wanted to know that I wasn't having to reboot or something. Anyway, back to the story. Back to your experience. Making bread. Exactly. See, Fish, you picked it right up. People did that. It wasn't just those people from the restaurant, their job to do that. No. People went in and helped them. In the morning, people woke up early with the sun, with the birds, and it's like in the middle of Miami. But it wasn't. It was back in 1404. The smell of the garbage of the city all around us, not there. The sound of guns, not there. Once we started drumming, all of that went away for the rest of the weekend. So there we are, right? And we danced the night away, and me and the girls went back. I had a nice big tent, and they didn't have a tent. I couldn't believe they didn't have a tent, or maybe that's just what they said. But anyway, so we all kind of puddled together, the three of them, and what was the daughter's was about 38 years old. She looked 28, and her mother was past 60, and she looked 35. And the other sister, who was the daughter's mother's more than girlfriend, like twin flame. These two women were together, amazing, right? They were like Jedi Knights, the two older women. They were, and the daughter was like, Danica, was like Luke. No, not like Luke. Like the woman, the girl in the most latest Star Wars. That was her, but a little more meat on her bones. And it was beautiful because we didn't do anything other than meditate, and we meditated until we drifted to sleep to the sound of the drums that just went on until sunrise. And it was amazing because we had this vivid dream where we went back to all our relations in 1404 in that same little park, and that's where we spent the night with them. So the sun rose, and the sounds of birds brought us back to 2004, and we got up, and people were doing Tai Chi and doing yoga, and the smell of bread came from, and we walked up to the kitchen, and there were about 20 people in there helping the five from the restaurant. And all they were doing was assisting, saying, oh, this is how you chop this, and the people would chop it up. This is how you create that, that's how they, and so they were being the sensei, the food hospitality senseis, to the 20 or so adepts who wanted to learn how to make food like these people, right? And then people started carrying in food. People had gone off to wherever they went off to, and were bringing back boxes of vegetables and all kinds of things to eat and to make bread and this and that. And because this was a big kitchen, it had 4 or 5 ovens. It had these 2 beautiful Garland stoves, 9 burners, 2 ovens each, and they had 2 electric ovens that you could bake a lot of stuff, and then they had 2 other kind of regular you know, good electric stoves, right? And, that you'd find in your house. 4 burners, one stove. And all kinds of, every big mixers. And people were just making everything, just turning this stuff out. It was like, whoa, we were definitely not needed to do that anyway. So what we did was we went around and talked to everyone. How'd you sleep? How you doing? We didn't do it, as a crew. We kind of broke up, and that's what the chorus can do, not just always sing as one, but sing as individuals. And we went around, and there were a few folk who weren't doing that good, right? And they just came to the kitchen because it was open and they wanted something to eat, and then they were kind of, but they weren't like, the people who were really involved. They were kind of sitting off the side and were noshing on a little of this and drinking a cup of tea of that. And so we went to them and said, "So how are you feeling? You obviously, and some were physically not well, and some were emotionally not well. So we decided right then and there, the four of us would make a Center for Alternative Living Medicine. We went back to my big dome tent, and I always come prepared. When things get weird, the weird get professional. And I had a couple of nice, those kind of tents without walls, and they have walls that come on down. It's like a bug tent, but they have walls that come down, right? So I pulled out two of those, and they were pretty big. They were like 12 by 12. And I did have my massage table with me, and I had a few more hammocks. So we found a nice place where the trees were just the right place to put hammocks so that we could put these bug things over it, and each one could have maybe 2 or 3 hammocks. And the girls said, "We'll be right back." And they went, I guess they went off to their car, and they brought back, like suitcases of their healing wares or healing tools. Or anyway, so we started working on those 5 or 6 people, and then we took them back to their tents or where they were camped out, and we helped them clear the aura. We smudged and cleared the aura of where they were, and basically said, "Okay, why don't you just try and get a little sleep?" Because basically what these folks did was they self-medicated themselves. And that, you can do it in the right way, or the balanced way, or connected way, however you want to look at that. But the overindulgence way to try to just blank something out, to do that in a ceremonial place that we were in, especially the native, our brothers and sisters, all our relations from 1404, they were in an energetic state to see that as an attack. Anyone who did that, they would see that as an attack. So, so things were really, really good, and it was only like 7:30 in the morning, and people were waking up, and they had nice showers and nice bathhouses, and people were doing that, and kids were running around, and there was a guy there who was Mr. Bubble Man, right? He could make bubbles big enough to surround people, right? And he had all these little bubble toys and bubble wares, and so the whole place was just floating with bubbles. That's why I'm a real bubble guy myself. And there were other people who, and of the 100 people who came in those 100 cars, they all had things that they were masters of. And so there were little clots of people playing instruments. And like I said, people doing yoga. And what was the really fun thing about the yoga people was no one was at the front. They were just doing it together. And there was a group of people doing Tai Chi. And again, there wasn't a leader. They were doing it together. And there was a group doing Qigong. And again, there wasn't a leader. They were all, meaning all the people who were doing these things, they were leaders. They had little businesses, they had little classes, were doing it at the Y, and but they found other people like themselves, their own little clan. There was like, the yoga clan, the Tai Chi clan, the Qigong clan, and it all went together to be all our relations. And the Indians were walking around, not all bunched up like they were when I first met them, but they were all like walking around doing their thing, getting ready for breakfast and doing their hygiene and doing their exercises. And they were watching all these people. And there were some Indians who were trying to do Tai Chi and yoga, and they were laughing and finding it really funny. And it was just an amazing, amazing event. And you were there. And you can see it all because you're in state. You're in your sanctuary of your own choosing. And this is the vacation you're taking. And I'm going to leave you at it for a few minutes. And 3, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Of course, you can be in state and imagine it and have your eyes open. You can, best not to be watching TV or any other kind of, Luciferian distraction. But yeah, you're here with us. You're in the cadre. You are, if you're in state, you are the shock troop of love's co-creation. So say we all. Kind of a loop? Unless we are in someone's shoes and they're feeling exactly what they are, we are not here to judge. You know? And 3, we are in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Our conscious mind is totally focused on our breath. We are breathing in 20%, breathing in that prana, that energetic that animates all. See it clearly. It animates all with love's co-creation. See it clearly. Feel the energy flow over you. From your mitochondria all the way out to the stars. You're connected. All your relations. See it clearly. You're in the park. You're communicating with everyone there. They're all your relations. You're communicating with our relations from 1404. You're in the park in Miami in 2004. And then we all hear breakfast and we all walk over to the kitchen, the community hall. And there's a beautiful breakfast of fruit. Fruit and these little pasties, these baked pies that have all kinds of beautiful vegetables in them that in their vegan way taste just like an Irish breakfast. And just like any kind of breakfast that you would want to be eating at that moment, they were shamanic, they were magic, they were amazing. See it clearly. And so we're all, sitting at tables inside, sitting at, picnic benches outside under a tree, sitting, taking the food with us over to the band shell. And so we are, enjoying it, right? And the show under the tent is going to start sometime around 10. And so, people are enjoying each other's companies. They're showing each other the things they feel passionate about, their art, their things that they're interested in. There are all these conversations going on. People are showing each other different books. Everyone's hanging around and nibbling on things from their little picnic box and drinking amazing drinks that were made, fruit juices and teas, and everyone is just enjoying the space, not being forced to just sit like a robot in a cafeteria, but they're just enjoying breakfast all over the place. And some people are going back and taking more showers. It's like it was a beautiful time between breakfast was called around 8, and it was like there was a schedule, but that got thrown out after the people ran away. And so, but around 10, the thing under the tent was going to start with Will, and I really didn't pay too much attention to Will or that gang. Now, the guy who was from Disney, who was making a video, I did pay attention to him because I brought over one of the four of the Young Turks and said, "This guy's really interested in film, really interested in videos. Here, you had your crow come in and set it up and ran away. I saw that happen, and then you had to dial it in and fix it up, and and he goes, yeah, yeah, because we were both, he and I were on the same page. We both had done what he was doing. I just wasn't doing it, and I came over. He was a big guy, and that night, when he was exhausted from doing all of that, I said, come on, come over here. Let's put you on. He was one of the people my sisters, the chorus, we put him on one of the hammocks and gave him a massage in the hammock, and he fell asleep. And then he woke up to the cinnamon tea that one of the sisters made for him. And the daughter, and she shined her light on him and spunked him right up and brought him out there because the drums were going to dance, right? And then he went and got his camera and, documented that, right? Because that's kind of where he was at, documenting everything, right? But he danced for a little bit. He fell asleep in the hammock a bit, and he drank the tea that gave him a lot of vitality, right? So I had brought him this young man, one of the Young Turks, that morning. I said, he's going to be your protege. He's really interested. He'll do it. He will listen. He will be much better than that bunch of morons who just threw everything together and then left you, right? I mean, he will hang by your side. And, he will kind of protect you too. We are in the middle of the hood. And so he was all for that. And this kid was great. So he gave him showed him how to shoot, a camcorder, digital camcorder, a nice one. And, the kid was ecstatic that this guy trusted him with, a $2,000 piece of equipment to go around and capture things, right? And so the two of those guys were doing that, right? And so, and I got him to give me a small handheld thing so he could, I would capture things. I mean, he knew I was a cinematographer, filmmaker, photographer. He knew my little history from being a photojournalist. Anyway, I mean, I knew that guy. It wasn't like I just met him that day. Anyway, and the fact that I've known him long enough with Will, and that I never was like jealous or tried to show off or any of the above, and that's why Will liked me, and his buddy, who was a pretty big time producer, also, that I could just do things for them, make things happen, and not take any real credit for it. Just the fact that I knew them and hung out with them, and they facilitated the things I wanted to do, which this was one of them. Anyway, and Will had a really good. I mean, Will was Will, and he thought he was whatever he thought he was, and he did it the way he thought it would be. But why he was Will I Am was that he realized when somebody actually was trying to tell him something that would make him do what he was doing better than if he stuck to his ego self. He was very good at like letting his ego self go. I mean, that's why we were good buds. Is that you know we were good buds. Anyway, so everyone's having this great time, great breakfast. 2 hours go by, and it was like a day and a half. Those 2 hours, like a day and a half. People just had the best of, and the sun stayed low, and didn't get really hot yet. And this is Florida, pushing through May, right? So this is gets hot, and people were swimming naked in the pond, and there was like Woodstock. It's like anyway, and we hadn't seen a policeman at all, period, right? And once everybody was in those gates, I just kind of pulled them closed and locked, put the chain and the lock on it and locked pretty much everybody in and everybody out, right? You'd have to climb over the fence. Anyway, so this is all going on, and then the show starts, 10 a.m., and Will's all dressed in white. He has white pants and white shirt and white jacket, and so is our producer friend, and they have a group with them, and they're all dressed in white like that. They're all dressed the same way, and they come around and they call. The one guy has a little like megaphone, little thing you speak into and amplifies. Oh, it's a show starting. Come on in. Let's everyone in the tent. Everyone in the tent. And I'm kind of going, okay, it sounds more like a Baptist revival the way these guys are doing it. Anyway, so everybody goes in there, and they start going on about the New Age, blah 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 blah. And again, everyone was like, "Why are we here? We were doing a great. Well, that was way more fun. What we were doing, just having breakfast and doing all the things we like doing, and showing each other all the things we really like doing." And so all of a sudden, it's like getting hotter and hotter in that tent. And I'm like, screw this, So I kind of walk out, and, my sisters walk out, right? And these, young Turks walk out. So there's like three of them, four of the boys, me, and, our all our relations from 1404 file out. And we're all kind of we'll just let them do that, right? So we're walking out, and we're walking back towards where the kitchen is, and there are police cars out front, and it's like, this doesn't look good. And so I tell the ladies, you go and spread the light that only you have onto our brothers, the police. And me and the Young Turks, we're going to go talk to the folks in the kitchen, because they've been here. Obviously, those gendarmes have talked to them, so they should have the story. So I'll get it from them, you get it from the gendarmes, and then we'll come back and negotiate. We'll work this out. So I go up to the farm, the whatchamacallit guys, and so I had given a packet of all the contracts we had with the county and the city and the rental, blah, 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 right? And so they had that. So when those guys showed up, they had all the right paperwork. So they didn't get any real static from them, except they said, who put the tent up? And they said, we don't know. We're just, doing this. And they had their license. So they were 100% fine with the powers that be, or shouldn't be, right? And I said, so what was their attitude? And they said, oh, basically bored, because it's the weekend, and they were the weekend staff, and they really just wanted to go back. It was hot. It was getting to be hot. They just wanted to go back to their office and hang in the air conditioning. And I gave them some food and tea, and I said that was the right thing, and they really thought that was great. And I made them up a nice box of stuff to take back to their office, thinking that they would just get in their cars and ride away. And I said, yeah, so why didn't they? And they said, well, there's the boss, the head guy. And he's pissed off that he picked the straw that he had to work this. He didn't want to work this weekend, and he has to. So he's going to make everyone's life miserable. And he didn't make my life miserable, but he made the other policemen who are under him miserable. And they just want to go back and eat that food, right? So they're all sitting in the air conditioning cars eating the food, but they want to go back to their office. But this guy wants that tent down. So I said, oh, that is the issue. Okay, not a problem. So I go over to them, and the girls are just laying it on this guy, and he is like, meaning when I walked in that kitchen and they went that way and I went this way, I kind of took energetic look at everybody, and all the cops were in the cars eating this beautiful food and drinking the beautiful tea and had smiles on their face, and they were happy. They just wanted to go back to the air-conditioned office where they could hang. And but the one guy who was out and kind of steaming, and he was steaming, was the one that the girls were lathering him up. And so they had totally switched him around, 180 degrees. And when I showed up, he was saying, no, 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 you everything's fine except that tent. That tent has to go. You don't have a permit for it, da 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 da. And now that I'm here and I'm the head guy, I will get in trouble if that tent doesn't go. And if it doesn't go, then I have to shut you down. And I said, well, no problem. What's your name? Oh, Bob. My name's Bob, too. Hey, we're both Bobs. Right, right. Not a problem. I'll take care of it immediately. You know what? Girls, why don't you take him because the dining hall was air conditioned. And I said, your boys can get out of the cars and go into the dining room with you. And now, you guys, you just had some nibbles. And he goes, I didn't even get the nibbles. I said, oh, you didn't take the nibbles. But go in and have a breakfast. They got it all ready for you. Come on. So, the girls went and I walked him arm in arm, saying, and we were both kidding each other that we were both Bob. And we walked him into the dining hall, and they, our hosts, picked it right up. They had set a table for all of those guys and put the food right there and the tea, and they cranked up the air conditioning and, closed the doors so it really got cool, like, policemen in Florida like, and put on some nice country music and everything stereotypical you could think. And the Indians, there were 3 Indians who became my buddies, right? One was, again, a sister like these sisters. That was like, they were like this. And 2 guys who were the chief warriors. And one was the shamanic warrior, and the other was like the guy with the bows and arrows. And they liked hanging with the Young Turks. They liked making them, where they took off their gang, everything, and wore bare chests and had the thing, and somehow got them feathers to put in their bandanas. Anyway, so those were the 3 folk with me, and the rest, the chief and a few of the other folk who were over there just watching us, kind of going, what's he going to do? And that's why the 3 from 1404 with us, to at least have someone representing, right? So anyway, Bob and I go in, and we are just chuckling on the fact that we're both Bobs. And he goes, so you're the guy in charge? I said, well, not as much as you're the guy in charge. I'm just here as your sensei, Al Bob. He goes, what's that? He goes, well, a sensei. You know what a sensei is? He goes, well, I heard that word. What is it? I said, all it means is teacher. And what is an owl? He goes, "What's a bird?" I said, "Yep, that's me." And Bob, and we both chuckles. And he goes, "The guy in charge." And I go, "Right." So I'm not quite as in charge as you are. You are ultimately in charge. I am here to help you, to manifest whatever you need. And he goes, "Man, I wish I had more of you." Then he pointed at the three girls. "I wish I had a lot more of them." I said, "Just hire them, you know." And he thought a second, and then I said, "I have to go for a minute. I'm going to go take care of the tent for you." And he goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah. Before you're done with breakfast, the thing's going to be down. And we're going to put everything bundled up. I don't think the tent guys can come and get it today, but the tent will be down and put off to the side. We'll put it any place you want us. You hide it behind the shed. We'll do anything you want." And he goes, "Well, I'm going to have breakfast." So he sits down. The boys come in. I leave the daughter with them, and I take, the two crones with me, and we go back. And everyone wants to get the heck out of this tent, except Will and everyone dressed in white. They're up on the stage, going on and on and on and on. And I go over to the producer guy, and I go, "Eric, come here." And so he comes over. I go, "There's a bunch of, you know, folks out there in police cars with guns, and they're going to arrest you and take you to jail." "Ooh, what?" I said, "Well, your name is on the thing as the producer. You're the guy in charge. You're the one responsible." "What?" And he goes, "But I've negotiated it out." He goes, "Good, that's what you're here for." I said, "Yep, that's what I'm here for. The only thing we have to do is take this tent down." And he goes, "Yeah, it's way too hot." So he kind of gets up. He's wearing the white thing, and so he gets up and he says, "Excuse me, Will." And I said, before we went up there, I said, "Tell everyone to go back to the dining hall and get some tea and talk to the police there and be as nice, be themselves to them, right?" And and ask for any volunteers who feel that they can do a little bit of physical work. We need to move something. Not too heavy, but we need at least 10 people or maybe more so the job will be easy. And so he said, "Okay." So he gets up there and he goes, "Excuse me, but we are going to take a slight break because it's getting hot. I know everyone here wants something to drink, and beverages are ready for you at the dining hall." So everybody basically gets up and runs the heck out of the place. And the sock puppets on the stage are like, "Huh?" And Will is like, "But," and I go to Will and say, "Listen, Will, you put this tent up here without a permit. The cops are there ready to shut this thing down unless this tent comes down." And that's why I asked Eric to, get the volunteers. And I think your buddies here in white, they should help. And they said, "That's not what we don't do physical work. We're shaman." I said, "Buddy, I'm a shaman. Will here is a shaman. Eric here is a shaman, and they're going to do some work here. We're going to take this tent down, wrap it up, and just put it over there." And they said, "Well, I've never been so mistreated. Oh, this is Will, are you going to stand for this?" And Will goes, "I guess we have to. We have to take the tent down." And so instead of Will, because it was his idea, he wanted to have a tent, a big tent, and because he could have gotten a permit, but he didn't think about it, and so, you know, and that's what I negotiated with Bob. Take the tent down. So those guys went away in a huff, got in their cars, and just drove away, not to be seen again. Right? So we had nobody from that was on the curriculum, to give us the lecture about this or that or doodle or do, right? So, we take the tent down, we fold it all up. There's a kind of, it wasn't even a shed, but it was like a lean-to of sorts. We put it behind the lean-to. So you really couldn't see it from, unless you went there and went behind the lean-to and looked at it. you couldn't see it. And I covered it up with a tarp, so you really couldn't see it. It just looked like could be wood. There were lots of wood piles with tarps on them all over the park. Anyway, so we did that, and I had a rake. There was a rake there where I kind of raked everything like a bonsai garden, like I did for my sensei. And we went back to, and by this time, Will and Eric had, shed their white special clothes, and just put on, comfortable stuff they normally wear. And we went in to the dining hall, and there everybody was just having a grand old time with the police and showing the bubble guy was making bubbles, and the kids were sitting on the laps of the cops, and the cops were amazed because they felt like part of the clan. They felt included. And most of the policemen had taken off their belts, their guns and their tasers and their radios. They all were just kind of, and a lot of them had taken off their uniform shirts, just wearing their t-shirt. And Bob, who was in a suit, had shed his suit, and he had a pair of shorts on, and a t-shirt. I said, Bob, where's your suit? He goes, I don't need that. I said, where'd you get the shorts? He goes, the chef had it was amazing. He came over and said, don't you want to get out of your suit? And he said, in the back office there, you know where it is. This is your place. There's a box of clothes. They're probably yours. And he said, there was a pair of shorts and a t-shirt that fit me. Look at this. Oh. Oh. Am I back? I was knocked off there for a moment. You're back. Okay. So, we basically went back out to the gazebo and sat down on, our picnic blankets, and people played music, and people were giving people massages and reading runes and telling fortunes and giving, stories and healings. And then this elderly man, not me, got up, and he was a rabbi, and he had survived the Holocaust, and he had a real issue with God from that experience. So he stopped being a rabbi, and he had become a linguist, right, and a anthropologist, because he wanted to study history and see what history could tell him about what was going on. And so he basically said, I want to say something. And he got up there, and he was a griot, told an amazing story that enthralled everyone for, it was, when we went back to the band shell, the meadow, the picnic blankets, it was probably the side of 2:00. The sun was kind of heading towards getting cooler, right? It wasn't at the tippy. It was still hot, but that whole area had these every kind of, it had oak trees, the good old Florida oaks with big, canopy at the top that kind of gave everything a shade. It was open, but gave everything a shade. And the pond was right over there, and people were jumping in, and Bob was still there in his shorts and t-shirt, and, a good half the cops had left. They, because Bob said, okay, you guys can go home. Whoever wants to go home can go home. So the guys who had something to do or see their girlfriend or their family, they went home. And that was around, 12:30. And so there were still probably, 6 policemen and Bob there. And they were just having a great old time. And people were jumping in the pond naked. And I kept, Bob was like kind of watching it. And I said, Bob, don't you want to jump in? And he turns around at me and goes, yeah. And hey, just take those shorts off. You can jump in there. And his, the other six were laughing at him, but with him because he was laughing too. And a number of those policemen took their clothes off and jumped in the pond, the young ones, because there were some cute girls in there. Anyway, everyone was having a great time, and everybody knew who everybody was. Nobody was being a hoaxer. Will had settled into the great guy that Will is. Eric was like having, he had dropped something early on, and so he was on another planet, and but that was appropriate for Eric, so it was all good. Everybody was where they were supposed to be. All things were as they should be. And so as the day wore on, and so like I said, around 2:30, 3 o'clock, the this rabbi enthralled us with his tales and his emotional, that God betrayed him. And that's when he went back and studied for himself and not just believed what the Torah said. And that's when he got into that motif of, because that was, a lot of people said, so what do you do? Who are you? What do you, blah, blah, blah. And I would give, my rap of, love's co-creation, and I don't believe in anything except love's co-creation. And that gave the kind of inspiration to the rabbi, right? So anyway, he did his thing, and everyone was amazed. And then dinner was called, around 4 or 5, and we went in and had another great meal, and the air conditioning was sweet. And then me and two of the policemen and the young Turks, we gathered more firewood, and we did this, just replay of the night before, and basically everyone kind of came out of their tents, meaning moved their campsite around the fire circle. And then for the next 2 days into Monday morning, that's where we all stayed. And we didn't, have lectures or classes, or no, we shared everything we were, like a clan. We were all a cadre in how we supported each other, right? We were all a chorus because everyone there spoke their truths, just like that rabbi did. Everyone got up, and when the movement hit them, some played their guitars, some did all kinds. There's this one guy got up who was truly amazing, and he was like a doctor, like a heart surgeon, and he had a heart attack himself as a heart surgeon, and he didn't let himself be operated and bypassed and all the he just changed his diet, and he got into drums, and he did a heart drum that was amazing. And he had one little handheld drum, and he beat it like a heart, and everyone's heart synchronized with that drum. That was probably the most powerful thing of the whole thing, right? And he was just, after experiencing, experience after experience, experiencing, not having expectations. No one, everyone threw their expectations out the window, And it was one of the best events I'd ever put on. There was just, a little under 200 people there. It was great to have the police there because, before Bob got into his shorts, he called up the home office and said, okay, we're going to stick out here. Everything's great. Everything's fine. We're just going to be here. Don't send anybody. It's all good. No matter what anyone says, I'm here. I got my eye on it, and it's all fine. Everything's good. So there was like no anxiety that, we better not do that. I mean, people were smoking herb. I said, Eric was like on another planet. But it was everything as it should be. There was no one judging anything, including the powers that shouldn't be. And at that time, they became the powers that were. And they represented the people in the way that authority should, not trying to get over or boss or control, but just being there in respect. Yep. Felt experience. Yep. It's like what Jimi Hendrix, are you experienced? Well, I am. So, the next 2 days were beautiful, and just a nonstop continuum, right? And there was no, I mean, and the police helicopters were all over the place, and Bob was there, and he was one of them, and he was a higher up, so when he would hear a certain siren or a helicopter, he knew this was happening over there and this was happening over here. And he said, this is quite amazing. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, and over there, things are like, they're like burning things down over there. And yet, normally, if that happens over there, it kind of washes through here. Yet, this park, I mean, why do you think this park has like, barbed wire fences, and it's like when stuff happens. This is the hardest place for them to come in, but during the weekend they can come here and see that there's nothing here to really burn down or steal, or make, demands. This is their kind of place, right? So, anyway, it's pretty amazing because there's all these helicopters, and he goes, what I've really been watching, that's truly amazing, is that the helicopters have not come over us at all. They go around. I mean, they're going over there. The shortest thing is to come right over our heads, but they're not. They're staying about a mile away. There's some kind of, I said, well, what do you mean some kind of? Just, you're here, you're feeling this energy, aren't you, Bob? He goes, I said, just think if all police did this. And he goes, wouldn't that be great? I said, and then he goes, well, it'll never happen. I said, Bob, it could. Look what you guys are doing. On Wednesday, if someone said, well, you're going to be in that park in those shorts and that T-shirt and your boys are going to be swimming naked in the pond, what would you say to that? And he said, oh, man, I would say, I'd fire them. That'll never happen. If anything, and he said, if anything like this, someone on Wednesday said this was going to happen here, I'd shut it down. I was going to shut it down. The tent was my excuse. Those three women and you, it's like, and then everybody else, it's not just those three women and you, everybody here is like you. I said, yeah, we're a cadre, we're all our relations, and you are part of the clan now, buddy. And when you go back to the home office, you won't be able to forget this. You don't have to blurt it out, but you are that little pebble in the pond. You can make a big difference, especially with you had 12 officers here. Every one of them got changed. The younger guys, they probably dropped something already. And he just kind of smiled and shook his head. I said, so Bob, did you ever take any LSD? And he goes, well, yes. When I was training for a certain, drug thing that I was going to be second in command, we went off and took a program where we were exposed to what all these things were. I said, oh, okay. So you're experienced. He goes, I'm wearing the shorts, So that whole weekend went on and on and on, like it was months, but it was only 2.5 days. And no one left Sunday. They danced till the sun rose. We did a sunrise ceremony. We had breakfast, and people left. Bob said, well, you could stay here forever and I'd stay with you, but my shift closes down Monday at 9, and there's going to be the guy just like me, but he's not wearing the shorts, and we're all going to have to get back into our clothes around 8 a.m., and we'll stay here, and we'll tell everyone who comes that everything's fine, and we got it covered, and we'll lock up. And that's what happened. So, right now, it is Sunday, and the rabbi gets up again. And he is crying because he says to the clan that even though he went from a rabbi to a scholar, and he looked to try to understand why God doesn't exist. He started to cry. And he was saying that God does exist, but just not in a holy book. God exists in everyone who has an open heart. So say we all. And that's why what we do here is not something for the lighted heart or the fainted heart. It is not for those who would troll. It is not for those cynical. Now we all are here as responsible co-creators of love. And what does that mean? We question everything. We don't believe in anything except love's co-creation. So say we all. And we are here to serve that co-creation because it represents the essence of all our relations, and all our relations being able to go home. And at that park in Miami in 2004, everyone there was at home. And we can do that in every day, in every way, by taking the piece of the earth and making it stronger with love's co-creation. See that clearly. Now, as I pray, I want you to be there in the circle of all of those 200, hand in hand, saying this prayer together into a sacramental connection to that experience. And that's what it's about. That's what life is about. That experience. See it clearly. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. See it clearly. You were there in the circle in the park in Miami in 2004, and those of 1404. Of every color, of every shape, see it clearly. Aho, 09. Love, co-creation, felt and realized for now into eternity. Yep. So say we all. This is not a cult. This is not a church. This isn't a idealization or whatever you want to, a movie star kind of fad. No, this is all of our relations and hand in hand in love's co-creation. And we will do this, as 09 says, for now and into eternity. And that word, eternity, into eternity, meaning when Lucifer broke heaven, he broke the turn. He broke the contract. He broke that thing that everyone walked in lockstep. And in a way, it needed to be broken. Because all our relations, everyone has to get on the bus and come back home and not be given, have a free will. That's what will make Lucifer whole, is when he has a free will. All of those demons and entities that, are searching for themselves, and they think control is the way to go. What they need is a free will, so they can choose freely to be in love's co-creation. See it clearly. So I'm going to be quiet for a moment, and you are going to bask into the experience of the drum circle, and you're dancing with everyone there. I'm just going to leave you to that experience, and I'll be back. I'm right over here. I'm dancing myself. Feel the drum beat of that heart doctor and everyone's heart resonating together to that drum beat. Be there now. And 3. You're in a deep, deep, deep state of conscious relaxation. Your breath has totally relaxed the squirrel in the cage in your Rolodex mind. The prana has energized your body to a photonic luminescence that allowed you to go from your imaginary mirror into your subconscious mind, into your Akashic record. And you've traveled from your Akashic record after evacuating all of your anger, hate, and self-loathing into your Akashic record, and closed the book, and lightened yourself up, and went through the open doorway into your superconscious mind, the sanctuary of your own choosing, And you brought your guides with you, and they have been enjoying the event, the experience. It has, every time you do this, every time you bring them into your sanctuary of your own choosing, it's like letting everyone have a good time. See it clearly. And so, you're there in the circle, you're dancing, the drum beat, you feel everyone's heart. Keep this experience in your everyday and every way. Use this not to be cynical. Use this not to be scared. Do not let fear, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And you don't even have to fear that. It's like that monster in the movies. You sit in the front row, you see that he's just scratched on the celluloid. Just tie those sneakers together and they'll fall over. Can't touch him. And if you respect people, they will respect you. See that clearly. We respected those police officers. We appreciated them. We treated them like human beings. And then when they responded in course, we treated them like part of the clan. And then they'll protect you. It's in their DNA. But they're scared too, you know. That's why they're the authority. But when you can loosen them up and show them, open their eyes, get them awake, that's when things will change. So in every day and every way, we take this piece of the earth and make it stronger. And 3, you're walking from that park up to the ladder that takes you up to the bridge, which is your id, that takes you from your superconscious mind, the sanctuary of your own choosing, and going over. But before you have one foot on that step, you look back at your meadow and realize that you can always go back to the park in Miami. You can always go back to 1404 because that Indian tribe, that cadre, that clan, you're part of it now. That is your connection in your Akashic record. That group of indigenous, all our relations, is what will help you become a shaman. This is called ceremony that you've just gone through. So that's the experience. Now I would urge everyone to start journaling these experiences. Right? You can journal them in your Akashic record. You can journal them in your smartphone. You can journal them. You can start a YouTube channel that you talk about this and take this evenings thing down and put it, do the journal, like face it to it and give your feelings, That's what I used to do with people when I would shrink them, Not have them write it down, but, on some physical tape recorder or whatever, document their feelings. Now that we have these smartphones, you do it on YouTube, and start. Everyone should kind of have their own Dreamy Dreamland channel, right? And again, if we put it into the, alternative aesthetic, and no one can steal this. The more people who, I'm going to take this and put it on my thing. Well, I'm almost to the point of saying good, because this is just the first step. It's not the whole thing, right? And I'm your Sensei Al Bob. I'm not really here to own this. I'm here to own the fact that I'm stepping up, So say we all. We're all stepping up, Step, sweep, right? So 3, you are now in your library and your guides are standing in front of you and they got this big smile. They had a great time. They enjoyed the weekend. They love you so much because no other entity has ever treated them so nice as you have. See it clearly. You bow with respect and humility, and so do they. And you raise your fist, all four of you together, and you say, "So say we all. We serve love's co-creation." And I'm going to say too. And you're walking from your library through the photonic light of your imaginary mirror. You see your whole body right there, relaxed, rejuvenated, and one. You're coming back into your body. Taking that breath at 20% in. And you've noticed that as the days go by in the illusionary world, night after night and morning after morning that we do these live chats, every breath you take is deeper and deeper. You find yourself more and more awake. You are now finding yourself in state while you're still here. You don't have to close your eyes and be in state and have your eyes. They're trying to reproduce that and call it augmented reality. No, that is addiction. They put those little glasses where, virtual reality is part of your reality. No, not a good idea. I mean, that's what Spielberg's movie about all those people living in, trailers stacked on top of each other. Not a good idea. And one. I'm going to say one more time, and I'm going to snap my fingers, and you'll all be right back feeling really good, ready to either go to sleep or go to work or go to the beach or go wherever you're going to go. And in about an hour or so, I'm going to be in state and asleep and in dream time. And I'd be glad to see any of you there. And again, get a hold of me at the Dude Awake 42. Anybody wants to have a further conversation on, the nuts and bolts of our strategies, and how we can go at this. And like I said, it's wintertime. I'm frozen up here until that road stops being an ice skating rink. I'm not going to get in my car and crash it. I don't have any money to fix it. So I'm stuck up here for a while. But spring will be here soon, and we will, see what we can see. So I love you all, and we'll see what we can see. So say we all. I take it one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. I only do what I can do to bring forth love's co-creation. Everything else is an illusion. And one, you're back here now. Well, gang, how was that? Getting the discourse going. Come on, let's get that discourse going. Boop, 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 boop. I like that, G. We're now in this moment's animation. Let's connect in co-creation. Here, allow, witness love vibration. Let's reflect in our relations. Aho. So say we all. All men, all good in all ways. Amen. Aho. So say we all. Men is in man as in all humans. All our relations. Aho. So say we all. Sigh, sigh. See it clear, feel it purely. So say we all. In my plug, the Discord real quick. Posted the invite on the Facebook group. Yes, I am a bird of prey. And what do I go after? I go after to in every day, in every way, take the peace of the earth and make it strong with love's co-creation. I'm a shock troop. I'm an officer of the shock troop of love's co-creation. There's also an invite link on the live stream from earlier today. That's the first part of this one. Okay, everyone, welcome. Would love to get discourse going. Welcome back. Okay. So those are all great ideas. It's a nice long chat, which, I go back and read all these chats, and it helps me to connect for the next live chat in the morning, right? I'm not going anywhere. The electricity works. I'm going to be live chatting. So everyone kind of visualize and pray that it's warmer tomorrow than they say. It's, the warmest supposed to be is in the 20s and 9 at night. It can be warmer than that, like in the 30s, upper 30s. And on Wednesday, excuse me, it's supposed to rain and, be in the 40s. Well, I did that Saturday night, from about 8 p.m. until about 5 in the morning. And it was like in the 40s all night long and rain, but not hard. So it kind of loosened up the ice and snow and kind of melted half of it away. But Saturday after 10, we had this amazing flatline wind of 80 miles. If it was, and it could have been a tornado, but it was 8 miles going this way. And it brought in a front, and it went from, 45 at about 7 in the morning to 20 by 10. And it just kept getting colder. And yes, everything kind of melted up, and it allowed me to get down and come back up. I got back by the time it really started to get cold. But whatever was still icy or snowy or on our road was turned into hard concrete ice, slipperier than slippy. Because that, instead of being crunchy like the snow, the rain made it like glass. So there's no way I can drive down that hill without going down like a toboggan, And the road does this, and there's a cliff along the whole side. That's one of the problems of being on the north side. Oh, look at that. 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds. Another synchronistic moment. So, what do you guys got to say for yourself before I... Yep, we're in the Aquarius days, gang. Yep. Go start do your homework on what that means. And we came out of the Piscean age. I'll give you just a thumbnail. Piscean age, getting what you want through violent power, right? That John was kind of experiencing last night. Aquarian age, kind of getting what you want through understanding. Well, that's a little more evolved, but you're still wanting to get something what you want. So we have to become the evolved whatever we are, I've had a number of friends who were, there's some hard, like Aries, Pisces, Virgos, Scorpios. They can be, Libras. They all kind of can be a handle. Well, every sign can be a handle. Like every sign has a good, bad. But the evolved version of every sign is one who serves love's co-creation and not your ego. So that's kind of, so we have to, bring us all our relations into the Aquarian age of, loving love's co-creation and having a egoless ego. Meaning if we're, when you exist in this bag of water, it comes with an ego, but you don't have to wear it on your sleeve, right? So what makes you happy? Making others happy, right? Okay, here we're coming up to 2 hours, 25 minutes, and okay, we passed that. 2 hours and 26 minutes and 26 seconds is what I'm going to say goodnight, unless we get into some really rip-roaring chat here. So, but that was long enough. Yeah, if you can journal any of this, that would be great. If you keep co-creating the aesthetic, the alternative aesthetic, and you guys are doing all these platforms, which is part of this, reaching out to everybody around and trying to bring folk in. And even, I don't know, you must have had, because I didn't see it, another run in with some kind of, what do they call it, troll. We have to, that's part of our new alternative aesthetic, is how do we deal with them. And how we dealt with the IDF was we basically, shown love to it. We didn't try to shun it, but we were very straight up with, like, who are you? Where'd you come from? Give us your backstory. You just stop. You can't be Yoda. That's not you. Who are you? We're all who we are here. You know, how come you're so sharp at trying to pick up on our weaknesses, and yet you don't even express a human emotion? There's got to be a problem here. What is it? That's why that guy left, or it, or they, or whatever. That's why they left, because they couldn't get under the skin, and honesty and truth didn't freak us out. That's what we're here to do. That's what we live by. So say we all. So, but we have to have a more, because just reading what you said, I assumed that you were on these other platforms, and that's where the trolls showed up, because I didn't see them. And so that's another thing. Look at that. 5 minutes went by when I said, oh, in about a minute, we'll say goodnight. So THURS. Gee, what does that mean? Thurs? My next eye surgery is Thursday. So if I can get down this hill, if it's still icy crazy, Wednesday I'll call him up and get scheduled for another time. Oh, gotcha. Thursday. Okie doke. Yep, that's it. That's it. And I've had loads of these things, and they really do work. And I just gotten used to getting my head strapped to a chair. I look just like Malcolm McDowell in Clockwork Orange. Can't move anything. They put these clamps on my eyes, and they come at me with this gigantic needle. And I don't even feel it. It's another great little thing about training yourself not to be scared of something. So, first time he did is just don't look at the needle. I said, look, you nuts! If I get up and I'd hit you with something. Thursday. Got it. Okay, we're getting towards 2:30. So at 2:30, I'm gonna say goodnight, because I want to get a glass of water and go to sleep. I love you guys. You're the best. This was and keep going to the park. Go hang out with those people. They were all great people. They were really a special group. As you are, so say we all. Aho. And now time is really slowing down. So it's 29 seconds to the point I'm going to turn this thing off. And let's see how long that takes. Free parking. Yep. Exactly. Yep. Don't have to be validated. You are all validated. In my heart, anyway. Good night. Good night. It's still, an hour away from moving, 10 seconds. Good night. Good night. Sweet, 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 sweet.